let it slide. Nah, I done did a lot just to get by, so I can't let it slide. I escaped the mental shackles, I ain't got patience for these bastards.
Welcome to 3 Count Commentaries. This is your boy MagMongoSlade. So today we're going to talk about WWE's Most Wanted Treasures, Episode 7, Jake the Snake Roberts. Episode 6 was actually a rerun of Undertaker and Kane. It was some extra material, so I didn't even bother to do that. So if you look at the archives, and it goes from 5 to 7. That's why. So this is Jake the Snake Roberts. So Jake the Snake Roberts, they didn't tell a lot of Jake's history in this thing. They did tell some history, but they didn't tell like his complete career. They just basically talked about WrestleMania 3. So the centerpiece of this episode is that they want Jake Roberts material because they don't have that much in the archives. And they feel his most famous match is WrestleMania 3 against the Honky Tonk Man. And so they want one of Jake's snake bags, the snake bag that he had at WrestleMania 3, which is worth $3,000 to $5,000. They want the Honky Tonk Man smashed guitar, the one he hit Jake Snake Roberts in the head with, $6,000 to $9,000. That's what they expect to pay for it. And they, of course, brought Jake in to do the search. This is, of course, recorded before he signed to AEW. So basically, they went to GWD, Steve Moran, the collector out of Detroit, and he had the bag. But while they were there, they told the story of the snake bite. So, of course, you know, he had to hear it straight from Jake about the snake bite and how he had to take the bite first because Randy was so paranoid he thought that the snake was going to still have venom in it. So that was really cool. Now, Steve Moran did have an original Jake the Snake Roberts bag. Of course, they wouldn't have known if that was the actual bag from WrestleMania 7 or not. WrestleMania 3 or not. But Jake did talk about how he used to gimmick the bags in a way so the snake couldn't escape, because the snakes would be able to slither through the knots if you put the bags together a certain way. So he was able to inspect the bag and found out that it was one of the bags. And Steve Moran just gave it to them, gratis. You know, said that, hey, look, the GWC, the Greatest Wrestling Collection, is not open to the public. Which, you know, I was kind of sad, because I was like, that's no wonder I've never heard of it, because I live in Detroit. So, like, no wonder I haven't heard of it, because it's not open to the public. But he thinks if WWE is going to do something that is going to be open to the public, then Jake's bag should be in there. And so he gave it to them. So that was really cool. From they went to, AJ Francis went to go talk to Jimmy Hart. Now, this is really the big crux of this episode, is Jake's personal dislike of the Honky Tonk Man. And it all starts in every Jake the Snake Roberts documentary I have seen. He talks about getting hit in the head with this guitar. He has talked about this ad nauseum. For people who might not know, they did the Snake Pit segment. They're going to set up the match between Honky Tonk Man and Jake the Snake Roberts for WrestleMania 3. Honky Tonk Man is supposed to have a gimmicked guitar. Okay? That's the Honky Tonk Man's gimmick. He has people with guitars. So they do the segment, and then Honky Tonk Man bashes Jake in the head with the guitar. Blew out some discs in his neck and in his back. Hit him several times with the guitar. The guitar does not break. Now, Honky Tonk Man is hitting him with the guitar, trying to get the guitar to break. The guitar didn't break. And so Jake is like, every drug I ever took from that point forward, it was because of Honky Tonk Man hitting me in the head with the guitar. And he blames the Honky Tonk Man for all his years of addiction, that he didn't really need alcohol and drugs and stuff like that until Honky Tonk Man injured him with that guitar. And he took that personally. You know, he took it personally. Honky Tonk Man didn't gimmick the guitar. I don't know if that was Honky Tonk Man's job, but it seemed like something he would know. He would know the guitar is heavier than usual. And I think that's kind of what Jake was trying to get around to. Like, you know, the gimmick guitars are not as heavy because they're hollow. And Jimmy Hart in this episode actually showed like how they would gimmick a guitar so that it would bust without, you know, you killing somebody. But Jake was like, look at how many times he hit me with that guitar. He hit me in the head once. He didn't hit me in the back. I don't know if he was supposed to hit him in the back. So that's another thing. Honky Tonk Man wasn't in this episode to explain what happened. But and I don't think I've ever heard Honky Tonk Man's side of the story. All right, little peek behind the curtain. I actually went to go listen to a shooter interview with the Honky Tonk Man. He basically just said that the guitar was gimmicks and that he didn't have anything to do with Jake being on drugs. That's essentially what he said. If you watch the segment, the Snake Pit segment, that guitar was heavy. And it sounded like he got hit in the head with a real guitar. It broke, but it didn't bust. It's supposed to bust. And he hit him 5 or 6 times. Maybe 4 or 5 times with the guitar. And it looked like it sucked. But Jake was pretty pissed at the Honky Tonk Man still today. He's still very angry at the Honky Tonk Man for supposedly busting discs in his neck leading into WrestleMania 3. Now, Honky Tonk Man claims that Jake didn't have surgery for another year and a half. Jake did say that he started, but he says that he started medicating alcohol, painkillers in order to deal with the pain in his neck from getting hit in his head with this guitar from the Honky Tonk Man. So from there, he refused to go see Jimmy Hart, and Jimmy Hart is the one who knows where the Honky Tonk Man's guitar is. So AJ Francis went to go see Jimmy Hart, and Jake, they interspersing this with some stories. So Jake is talking about how lazy the Honky Tonk Man is, and that all he wanted to do is do his game. He didn't really want to go out there and go out for it, and that he was sensitive, and he was say things like "Don't touch my hair." And later in the documentary, he talked about there will be a day when it comes to the Honky Tonk Man. He's like, there will be a day, and he was like, for what? And Jake was like, he knows. And he says he looks forward to pissing on the Honky Tonk Man's grave. Like, Jesus Christ. He hates the Honky Tonk Man. I thought I hated the Honky Tonk Man. God damn. I hate him in a kayfabe sense. He's a great character. But Jake Roberts legit fury at the Honky Tonk Man. I mean, he's such a vengeful guy. It's really wild. But AJ Francis brings up the drugs and all that kind of stuff. That he brings up Jake's suggestion that Honky Tonk Man hitting him in the head with the guitar is what led to the drug addiction. And Jimmy Hart just kind of shut that down. I was like, yeah, I wouldn't buy that. But we're here to talk about the guitar. He kind of swerved around it, kind of like it was like Bruce Lee, where you're like, be watching my friend. he listened, and then he kind of dismissed it while saying, hey, look, we're here to find the guitar, right? So they go to this place called Vintage Vinyl, where Jimmy Hart sends a lot of his memorabilia. He said they send them things. He sends them things that they turn around and sell. So they went there. It's in Oldsmar, Florida. And they find a busted guitar after searching through boxes and all that kind of stuff. They find one of the Honky Tonk Man's busted guitars. But they did not find the WrestleMania 3 guitar or the Snake Pit guitar. They don't know which one it is. But because they don't have a lot of Honky Tonk Man material in the warehouse, they decided to take it anyway. And they was able to take it for free. But it was at this point in time where Jimmy Hart, rather, talks about, how they gimmick the guitar, how they would take certain things out. They would scar it first so that it'll break easier and that kind of stuff. So it's not the Snake Pit guitar, but it is a Honky Tonk Man guitar because it is busted up, completely busted, by the way. It looks like they was able to decide that it wasn't the WrestleMania 3 guitar because they actually compared it. They looked at the handle and compared it to the handle when he was on the Snake Pit, and it wasn't the same thing. But because they don't have a lot of Honky Tonk Man material, they just took it anyway. There was so they had both of the things that they came to look for. It was for the first time ever. They didn't have to pay for it. So they also went and found that Mike Busey, somewhere in Florida, has supposedly the WrestleMania 3 ring. The actual ring from WrestleMania 3, which is worth $7,500 to $10,000. And they wanted Jake to go and take a look at it to see if this was really the WrestleMania 3 ring, because if it was, they was going to buy it from him. So Jake says, hey, you know, the ring posts look too new, so he can't verify, but he says everything else looks the same. You know, the springs under the rings were rusty, and the ring that Busey got, it apparently he got it from a member of the Anoa'i family, what they call Yokozuna's family. Apparently they get rings on loan from WWE, and this was one of them, but they can't verify whether the ring is a WrestleMania 3 ring or not. They just know that they get rings from WWE, and then they turn around and sell them. And so Mike Busey was told this is a WrestleMania 3 ring, and he trains people in that ring. So he was, you know, they were looking to buy it, but Ben Brown says since they can't verify that it's an actual WrestleMania 3 ring or how old the ring is, because apparently things have been changed on it, and I don't know if it's Busty or Busey. I'm just going to say Busey. Busey says that the ring is how he bought it. You know, he didn't change anything on it. So somebody else must have changed the ring posts. So the ring posts are different. The ropes and the mat might actually be from WrestleMania 3, but they can't verify it. So they didn't get it. But it would have been fucking cool for them to find it, though. So the end is Jake Roberts selling his Hall of Fame tuxedo for $5,000. Because, and them talking about him going to the Hall of Fame was, you know, always emotional. Diamond Dallas Page was there, and, you know, he talked about it a little bit, and they basically says, like, you know, every Jake Roberts is about his redemption. You know, every Jake Roberts piece is about his redemption, and this was no different. At the end, he wanted the WWE to have something that was not connected to, you know, drugs and alcohol and all that kind of stuff, negative things, to have something positive. And he spent $7,000 on the suit for him and his grandson, and he sold his suit to WWE for $5,000. So they have at the end Jake Roberts' tuxedos, his snakeskin tuxedo that he wore to the Hall of Fame, which they paid $5,000 for. They have the Honky Tonk Man's guitar, one of Honky Tonk Man's guitars, not the Snake Pit guitar that they were looking for, but they have a Honky Tonk Man guitar. And they have one of his snake bags, which, and they got the guitar and the snake bags for free. So it was pretty successful. A real successful haul. This episode was really fun. You know, Jake Roberts going out and being able to do different things and relive some of his favorite moments. And I'm pretty sure he wasn't still not too happy about that guitar to the head, but it was an excellent episode. But let me know what you guys thought. Like, share, subscribe, donate if you can. Tell me what you guys thought of this show, and I'll talk to you guys later, man. Peace.
Old non-aggression. Once that lesson sets in, you'll see a session, but you got an affection for no progression, regression. The best.